Say we are top of the league. Say we are top of the league.
For how long?
That's as positive as it gets now, I think, isn't it? I was like, oh, hang on, where's my
Really?
ticker gone?
It shouldn't be that negative.
Where's my ticker gone?
Oh no!
Hang on.
It's all
There it
going
is.
wrong.
There it is. There you go. That's it. That's more like it.
So you're very much cup half empty.
No, not at all. No, not at all. I think. I mean, we've had this. We've gone over and back a couple of times post Southampton game about, I think it was a good weekend to drop points. Man City, the only team that won in terms of the top 7. So that I can always put a positive spin on it. Spurs, we actually gained points on Spurs, points on Spurs. I suppose Newcastle won as well, and I think you have to start talking about them as the top 4 this season, not a title challenger, but a top 4. I don't think they've got the nous to I don't think they'll finish in the top 4, let's put it that way. But you never know. They've got the money to spend big in January if they think they've got a sniff of it. So, but United and Chelsea drawing, I think, was a perfect result for Arsenal. Liverpool losing, perfect result for Arsenal because they are in the top 4 conversation now. They're not a title contender at all anymore this season. So they are definitely one of our rivals for top 4. And very much as an Arsenal fan, it's still about the top 4. We can dream about a title and so on, but it is still about top 4. That's your first. Let's tick that box first before we think about third and then second and so on. And we know, and the Southampton game was an improvement on last season, and we do really badly at. So I don't understand it because that team is crap, And there was shorn of 3 first 11 players as well defensively, and ultimately, if I know there's 2 ways of looking at it. If we lose a game and it's our own fault, I can live with that. It's the injustice, and I know if the injustices had occurred first in the game, maybe I'd see it differently. But that wasn't the way around. Our profligacy in front of goal, our kind of really lack of clinical finishing on multiple occasions. The game should have been over after 20, 25 minutes, by which point the referee could do what the hell he liked because it would have had no bearing or impact on the outcome. And that's on us. Now, you are like, that performance was the single most inept performance I think I have seen in the last 2 or 3 years.
What, the referee?
Yeah. When the when referees have been notoriously awful, this was very much the cream of the crop.
Have you seen West Ham Bournemouth this season?
Oh no, I have not. I've been driving on the M25 for an hour.
Apart from everything, one of the most boring matches this season. However, 2 goals, 2 VAR involvements, 2 seemingly, I don't know, conflicting ideas. The first goal, West Ham, ball goes over the top from a corner. It hits, I can't remember his name now, the German defender, Kelleher, or whatever his name is, Keller. Hits both his arms. He's like got his hands there, and he sort of does a movement like that with his hands. And then a Bournemouth player heads it away, only for a West Ham player to head it back in, and then Kurt Zouma knocks it in. And as soon as you see the replay, you go, well, that'll be ruled out. No, goal stands. It's fine. 1-0. And then in injury time, Soufal breaks down the wing and gets it right to the byline and goes to put the cross in. And the Bournemouth defender slides, hands up, ball hits hand and goes out. And he's like 3 yards away or something like that from the ball. And nothing given initially, corner given initially. And then VAR comes in and goes, oh no, ref, you better have a look at that. And the ref goes, oh yeah, penalty. And you're like, no. Just football's gone mad. What struck out at the Southampton game with us was that it wasn't so much VAR, it really was the on-field ref.
Oh no, it was
He decided that that Southampton could play like it was the mid-80s.
Rugby.
Well, and it's one of those things. I don't mind if a referee's going to let things go and allow physicality in the game, but there's a really early one where Jesus is basically tussling with the Southampton defender, where Jesus is basically dragged to the ground, and Jesus is doing his fair share of tussling as well. And the referee blows the whistle and then gives the free kick to Southampton, as though Jesus has been the aggressor. And it just, it felt like a complete misreading of the situation.
Yeah,
it wasn't about letting things go. He didn't let it go. He missed.
Yeah.
So weird.
But you know, you can let things go, but a foul is still a foul.
Yeah.
And I mean that guy, the Southampton guy, whatever his name is, Leandro. He should have been sent off 4 times. You know, he'd accumulated that many yellow card offences.
I didn't even see the punch on
on Gabriel
Jesus' back.
On Jesus,
and
then the headbutt into Eddie Nketiah, and then getting him by the neck.
But the headbutt on Nketiah, I mean, it's ridiculous.
It's a red card.
I don't get it. I just don't get it.
And I think I
disagree about some of the other decisions. I don't think it was a penalty, the one on Ben White.
No, Ben White's wasn't a penalty. No, not at all. But I didn't know. I missed the Tierney one, and they never showed it again. And that was a contentious one. Right. But the Jesus was. I'm pretty sure the Jesus one in the first half was a penalty, and the Saka one was as much a penalty as Silva's was the day before for Man City, and he gets a yellow card for simulation. I mean you are
like, if he doesn't give a penalty, fine.
Right, but, fair enough. But
diving. No.
I mean, that referee is like.
It was such a bizarre.
I want to know what conversations he's been having with his line manager this week. Because
this is the thing that gets me, because there was a time, like with the Leandro's punch on Gabriel Jesus's back.
Double punch, he did it twice.
Well, yeah, exactly. But it feels like there was a time in football a few years ago, maybe pre-pandemic, where lots of things were looked at after games, and it feels like that never happens at the minute. Like nothing is looked at in retrospect because VAR is there. Nothing is looked at in retrospect.
Although all they do is they say that VAR got that one wrong. That's what they do.
That doesn't make any sense, because surely in the cold light of day, people should look at that. He's hit the player on the back, regardless of how violent it is, and he's punched him. Stuff, but it literally doesn't matter. Like, he's punched him. There was a guy who publishes he calls himself Gooner Talk on Twitter, who was talking about how live updates on websites. Post-match punditry on the decisions that were right and wrong. And he was saying there shouldn't be wrong decisions. There shouldn't be decisions that are right or wrong. They should just be wrong if it was a decision that should have been given. I don't know. He phrased it better than I've just done. And it was an element, like, I just don't see how the powers that be aren't going to look at that Leandro incident and go, well, that was violent conduct. You're banned for 3 games. But they're not. I
mean, he was like just a thug.
No, it was weird. It was like a throwback.
Yeah.
And people probably.
I don't know if you watched the Liverpool City game, where Anthony Taylor told the 2 managers before the game he's going to let things go, and ultimately that's what caused all the kerfuffle. Like Salah was manhandled, very similar to Saka actually. There was a Saka incident where Saka in front of the linesman, and he was like dragged to the ground, like nothing given. And that, I mean, that's it. Watching it, I must admit, it was only when I watched it again the game or parts of the game that I realised just how bad the official was, because I was too busy bemoaning our lack of. I was bemoaning the fact that we were still only 1 goal up, and that was our fault. That wasn't the official's fault at all. There was no, maybe if we'd got a penalty, if Jesus had been awarded that penalty in the first half, there's an argument to say that the Southampton defender would have received a red card. He had the penalty that was given for against Man United for Chelsea. Did you see it?
Yeah.
Well, it was very similar. That was very similar in terms of both two arms around him and wrestled him to the ground. And I'm not sure how that's not a free kick. I don't understand that. And you've got the on-field official not giving it, but then you've got the VAR looking at it again, thinking, like, I don't often swear, but what the actual fuck?
Well, for me, and especially how it's played out, especially online post-match, it's one of those games that will mess with people's heads because of the dissonance it creates. Because there are so many things on one side that are true, and so many things on what seems like the opposite side that are true. Because on the one hand, the referee had an absolute shocking game and made some absolutely ridiculously bizarre decisions, allowing Southampton to be overly aggressive. And on the other hand, we looked absolutely leggy and tired. As a result of, what is it, 9 games in October? I know we haven't finished October yet, but what will be 9 games in October? And we probably haven't rotated as much as we would have liked because
pause on that. I saw some people, Le Grove in particular, come down hard on Arteta. What do you think?
Well, at the moment, no, because I feel the vibe is that we have to top the group. It's not even about a qualification in the Europa League. It's topping the group, because we might have to suffer now so that we get that space again, whenever it is, end of February, beginning of February time, or whatever it is. Yeah, because the World Cup's going to be disruptive. We've got a few players that are going to go off.
Okay. What team do you put out on Thursday?
Well, no, this is the balance. I think after how everything looked at Southampton, I think there are certain players that simply have to be rested.
Name them.
Well, Partey still has to be wrapped up in cotton wool because he's the only player who does that job. Although on Saturday, he only did it in the first half.
That should have been enough, though. That should have been enough.
It should have been enough.
If his forwards had taken their chances, or half of their chances, it would have been enough.
Yeah. Going back to the dissonance thing, that's the thing, isn't it? On the one hand, we had a brilliant start, but we should have taken our chances. We should have been ahead, and we were clearly the better team for a large part of the game. And yet we looked leggy and tired, and Southampton improved. They shifted their formation and seemed to negate what we were doing.
But they still didn't create any clear-cut chances.
No, not particularly. Their goal was fairly well worked, but it was also a bit easy for them to play through.
Yeah. I mean, the dummy was fantastic, but it completely caught us out.
Similarly, we're top of the league and flying, okay, and yet Southampton is a tough place to go. And our recent record in recent years, bears that out.
Yeah, we're +1 on that game.
This is why people are so sort of torn on how to feel about it, because on the one hand we feel like we should have won, but there's no easy games in this league.
I think the frustration is slightly compounded by the fact that it was a great opportunity to add some points to add some points difference to the main contenders, i.e. Liverpool, United, Chelsea, Spurs, all drop points. So on the one hand, there's just to back up your point, on the one hand, it's a good weekend to drop points because we haven't lost any ground apart from to City. But it would have been a great opportunity to look any away game. Ask Liverpool going to Forest. Any away game has the potential to throw up a curveball, banana skin, dodgy result, whatever you want to call it. But go on, who else? A party doesn't play on Thursday.
Gabriel Jesus.
Yeah, Jesus. Not only do they not play, they don't travel.
No.
They stay at home.
Stay at home. Chill out. Save
Who
yourself
else?
a Forest. Xhaka.
Yeah, he's going to play.
He is going to play, and I think of all the players, he can probably cope with that load the best.
But we don't want to. We don't. He's becoming like crucial, integral.
He's the Duracell bunny.
Yeah, yeah.
Just doing.
Finish, by the way.
Probably Odegaard. Aside from that, I don't know. It's a pretty fair game after that.
Do you play Jesus to get him a goal, give him a chance of a goal, get his confidence back? No, I don't either. No, I don't either.
Because this is the thing, and it's really annoying me how people are already saying, "Oh, he's not a goal scorer," this, that, and the other. Anyone who's been watching Arsenal this season know that he leads from the front, and we're scoring lots of goals. We're top of the league. Like
only one team has scored more goals than us,
exactly.
and only one team has conceded fewer.
Yeah. I think it's ridiculous. The first of that. What we bought him for was his commitment and his work ethic.
He's a focal point. His energy levels, all of that.
His undoubted ability. And so what I realise is that he needs to be operating. Wenger used to talk about players that are in the red zone, so that when their fatigue has dropped. If 100% is green, then the red zone is probably a drop below 60, 50%, something like that. Gabriel Jesus, I'm pretty sure from what bits I've seen of him this season, he needs to be operating in that green. He needs to be, fully on it, because it's not just his, efforts in front of goal. It's his work rate around it as well. He's not got that snapping into things as he used to.
Someone said that since the concussion against Liverpool, he's not really been as good, and that might be worth looking at.
He took an awful knock in the Spurs game, wasn't it, as well? Was it the Spurs game?
That was before. That was the Liverpool game. We thought he was out. Like, we thought he was unconscious for a period.
Where was the one where he injured his foot?
No. That was earlier. Yeah. No, this is the bang on the head. Yeah, that was the Spurs game. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it wouldn't hurt, would it? And let's face it, going away to PSV, Eddie will do a job. He runs and hounds in the same way. Marquinhos, it's the perfect time to play him, and he looks to the manner born a little bit. Go there, set up a little bit deep, play on the counter.
Yeah, we don't. A draw is fine. A draw is fine.
We just need to top the group.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe you can go with Rob Holding will play. Gabriel will probably play.
Can I just pause on Gabriel? New contract extension, 5 years. I think that's really good.
Yeah.
But Orbinho, I've got this in front of me now. Orbinho tweeted whenever the 21st was, 3 days ago, and I took a screenshot of it because I wanted to bring it up, because I have been critical of him.
He's lively.
The emotional side of him. Listen to this. This is in the Premier League with and without him. Okay. With him, our win percentage is 63%. Okay. Without him, our win percent is 37%.
Okay.
That's huge.
Yep.
Goals conceded per game go from 1.1 up to 1.3. Shots conceded per game go from 10.2 up to 12.6. And points per game drop from 2 points per game with him to 1.3 without him.
Yeah.
That's pretty...
That's good.
They're pretty good figures. You can see why they were so keen to tie him down.
Yeah. And also it's that thing, isn't it? We've been critical of the club in terms of their selling and stuff like that. Well, put it this way, if he continues in the same vein for another couple of years... He's
only 24.
He's 24, exactly.
That's young for a centre-back.
That is young for a centre-back. But if he makes it to, say, 26, and what you would, people traditionally consider a sort of prime sort of period or whatever.
Even a bit older for a centre-back as well. Like
what did we pay for him? 20 something?
I'm not even sure.
Not a huge amount.
No.
We could command, a really high fee that then gets reinvested and improves the team and does it that way. Or we just guarantee that we've got ourselves a good defender for a long time.
Yeah, for the next 6 or 7 years. Yeah, so Turner will be in goal. Tierney, that was a mistake. I thought it before the game. I was going to message you. I didn't like Tomiyasu playing at left back. I think Arteta needed to be a little bit more ruthless there and not reward Tomiyasu with the good performance. After, and I don't think he was. He did actually put in a great performance, but then a lot of players didn't against Leeds either. But you want to play your specialist left back because you could see when Tierney came on, he in the last 15 minutes, he offered us an overlap down the left-hand side. We scored the goal that was disallowed from his cutback, and the ball was out of play, and that was fine.
But it showed the intent, didn't it?
Yes, absolutely. And if we'd had that from the start, then, you're much more on the front foot. And that's not to disrespect Tomiyasu, but he's not going to bomb down the left-hand side and put the ball in with his left foot with any degree of accuracy, like compared to how he would. I mean, that's not even his game on the right side either, to be fair. He's not quite like that. Big nod to Ben White, though. That was a fantastic cutback for the goal that Jack has scored. I don't know.
He's just on fire at the minute.
Yes.
Ben White is so good.
So Tierney will play against PSV, but Tierney should play against Nottingham Forest as well. I mean, I don't know what Zinchenko's situation is. I have no idea.
Zinchenko worries me the way Tomiyasu did last year, where he just never seems to recover from this little calf injury.
But what we've got 3 games, and we can get through those 3 games without Zinchenko, and then he's got 6 weeks World Cup. They're not at the World Cup, so he's got a lot of recovery time now where they can actually get it right. Get him fully rested, and he doesn't. Was it so? Tierney at left back, Holding and Gabriel in the middle. I mean, he might even go Holding and Tomiyasu in the middle. You never know. It's a bit lopsided, that is. And Tomiyasu at right back. Although Cedric is there, he's been on the bench a couple of games now.
Not sure I'd bring Cedric in for PSV away. Just that final game against Zurich, that would be perfect.
Yeah, actually, PSV's most dangerous player would be coming down their left-hand side, so Cedric would be there.
I can see him switching to Tomiyasu on the right.
Yeah, Tomiyasu on the right. So Holding and Gabriel in the middle, Tierney on the left. I think he'll play Xhaka and Lokonga in the middle. I don't think we've got much alternative, to be fair.
With Vieira?
Yeah, I think Vieira will play.
Nelson, Marquinhos.
Yeah, see, I mean, the thing is, you would go. Ideally, I'd love to go Nelson and Nketiah and Marquinhos, and Vieira behind them. I'd love to do that, and he should do that. I don't think he will. I think he'll play Martinelli again. I think Saka will be on the bench. I don't think Saka should play. Someone did point out that his comments about Saka should be prepared to play 70 games. Quite an arrogant thing to say, assuming we're going to be successful in all the competitions and run deep into them and stuff like that. I'm like,
but I feel that's a bit misconstrued, because I think he was just saying, look, the elite players who go far in all competitions play that many games. So for Saka to be that, he's not saying that he will.
At 21, that's, and I understand the psychology. You'd start telling a player they're tired and they'll start feeling tired. I get that, and I agree with that. So you kind of, but we have been leggy in the second half of our last 2 league games.
But I think that's the other dissonance, isn't it? Yes, the performances have dropped a little bit, but on the other hand, it's a ridiculously busy schedule and
everyone's dropping points
with a squad that's not the deepest. It's not like we can literally change our 11 and it still be a very, very high quality 11. There are drop-offs. And like you said, I was thinking this as well, as I watched lots of football over the weekend, whether it was Newcastle, Spurs, whether it was Chelsea, Man United, or Liverpool, Forest. I feel the actual quality of football all over is a bit meh.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
And Bournemouth, West Ham tonight, I know Bournemouth and West Ham aren't exactly, teams
flying high,
but it really was crap. Forest did a number on Liverpool, but Liverpool looked fairly bang average. Man United, Chelsea, Man United started quite well, but again, it was nip and tuck. Newcastle Spurs was the interesting one, because I think Spurs did go for it. At first, Son was just pulling the trigger and getting shots away, like, he was just having a kickabout in the park. But then
that was hilarious, though.
That Wilson goal just
Yeah.
rattled them.
It was
completely.
brilliant, and I was convinced it would be disallowed because goalkeepers union and all that. But it was. I thought, for me, it was rightly. Although, having said that, Jamie Redknapp said in the studio, "What if it was Wilson had got a touch on it, and the same coming together had happened? Then you would be screaming foul and red card, like I would." And he was right, because I hadn't looked at it, because for me, I thought, and of course, I really wanted it to stand. So I was like, well, they just come together. He couldn't get out of the way, and he couldn't. And Wilson did slow up. You could see that. He did put his right arm out a little bit. That's my right arm. That was my left arm. He did put his right arm. That was his left arm he put out, actually. He did put his left arm out a little bit. But then I thought, well, if it was the other way around, I'd be like, no, that's a foul. That's a red card. Keepers off. Goal scoring opportunity. Go on. But that made it even funnier. So
yeah.
And then to Lloris then to mess up again for the second goal, and that was stuff of dreams. That was brilliant. I stopped watching after that point, because I thought, well, I've brought all my good luck now. If I keep watching, it's going to turn.
Well, I did watch it all. We had family over, and it was quite enjoyable after. I can't. There's enough stress in my life. I can't add it watching these games. I'll just keep an eye on the score from a distance. I think for us to come away from a Southampton away game where, that is the case. I think the quality of football generally is not amazing.
And we were good for the first 20 minutes.
The way everyone has.
The first 25 minutes, I was like, wow, this is good.
I think that's what people are really disappointed about. Singling out players is neither here nor there, and talking about other people's results. It's just the disappointment that we couldn't capitalise on a second. I think that's all it is, really.
And you get the feeling it would have killed the game.
Absolutely. Southampton are not scoring two. They barely look like scoring one. I think in Jesus is 1-on-1. People said it was a good, tackle from the defender. Shouldn't really have had the opportunity. And
the shot he had
was limp. It was
straight at the keeper. That when Nørgaard kind of scoops it into his path, he should have buried that.
Yeah,
it's like.
But that's the only disappointing thing, really, that we couldn't get a second. Lovely goal, well taken by Xhaka, but just needed more.
Yeah. Forest home on Sunday again should be a home win. Doesn't matter what Forest turn up, but
they will defend. Steve Cooper himself, coach I've grown to really like, actually, because him taking Forest from basically the bottom of the Championship and through to promotion. And
how nice that they gave him a new contract.
Oh, totally backed him. They know, and basically sacked the transfer panel that brought in, a new squad and a half. And he's admitted, he said, look, I've got my philosophy, but I realise at this moment in time, we need to think about things a bit differently. So he's basically set up the team to try and concede less. And so they'll be tough to break down initially.
Early goal. The thing is, it'll be an early goal. I think the fans will be fired up. I think the atmosphere will be great again. I think the team will be energised. I think, especially if we've confirmed top spot on Thursday, although I don't think that result will have too much of a bearing on what we do on Sunday.
The only thing that might challenge it is how that turns out. To lose away at PSV wouldn't be a disaster. To get hammered would, and to lose in a certain manner would certainly raise questions. I'm not sure that will be the case, to be honest.
After the first game, we were like, I know it was only 1-0, but it was a pretty dominant. I didn't see it, but it was a pretty dominant performance from everything I've read.
I was disappointed by PSV.
Yeah, Well, let's hope you are again.
Well, yeah. I mean,
because they've been banging in the goals in the Dutch league and
second in Eredivisie, and from a place of ignorance, it's just the bits of information I saw before the game. Second in the Eredivisie last year, absolutely bag full of goals this year. Gakpo, one of the most highly sought after wingers in world football, and yet he barely featured in the game. I think I don't know whether it was because they'd maybe played a bit too conservatively. Or whether we were.
Well, I think Van Nistelrooy said that. He said that subconsciously we dropped too deep and we never came out. Because Arsenal did. I mean, but that Arsenal did that. We have started games, even the last two league games, where we've kind of faded away as the game progresses. But we started those games in a kind of a forward fashion, if you like, we're kind of on the front foot, and then it's Zurich at home, and then that would be a nice game if we get a draw at least on Thursday. Then there should be a complete 11 change. Don't care. Matt Smith gets a game at last, or we get a complete different 11 for that Zurich game.
Yeah.
No, because then we've got two tricky away games. Obviously Chelsea, and Chelsea's the first one on the Sunday, 12 o'clock kickoff on the Sunday. Now I'm assuming they'll be in the Champions League, but I'm hoping it's on the Wednesday, not the Tuesday. I don't know, because they're going to guarantee at least 24 hours more than us.
Plus, they're through, aren't they already?
I don't know. Are they?
Well, they probably will be. And therefore, they can probably rotate and rest and all those sorts of things as well.
Yeah, and then Wolves away. And Wolves away is a bit of an interesting one because they're not going to have a new manager, which is good. They're sticking with the interim fella until the World Cup. And they're on a bit of a...
I mean, they are absolute toilet at the minute.
Yeah, so, yeah. But then so is Southampton. And so are Leeds. So are Leeds, as it's turned out.
Yeah, Leeds, yeah. Southampton are a funny team, aren't they? Because they're so streaky. Like 1 minute they're doing okay, the next minute they're really not. It's bizarre. Apparently Hasenhüttl will have been in charge for about 4 years.
That's mad, that's mad.
It seems bizarre. On the end of 2 9-0 defeats.
Yeah.
Southampton haven't really troubled.
But and I was surprised they spent like £80 million in the summer.
On kids who are going to
I didn't
sell on value.
Yeah, that's clearly their club strategy.
Yeah. But I think that's relatively canny in a way.
Well, that's been their kind of raison d'etre.
Yeah.
To now as well. Look at Mane and Van Dijk and Walcott and Chambers, and it's been what they've been known for, their academy. I mean, we got Ben White. He didn't come to us from Southampton, but he came from Southampton. That's where he started, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So I said 10 points from these 4 games would have been an amazing haul. That means we've got to beat Chelsea now, because the drop points wasn't supposed to be Southampton.
No.
And the thing about Chelsea is I watched them against Aston Villa and they were crap. Kepa kept them in the game, won the game for them, no question. I watched them against... I didn't watch them again. I watched parts of the game against Brentford. They were crap.
Yeah.
And for large parts of the game against United, they were crap.
Yeah.
So...
first half, they were...
I don't think we should have too much to fear from Chelsea. Don't get me wrong. I'll be convinced we'll lose 5-0 before the game.
Oh, Aubameyang will score.
Yeah, no, for sure, absolutely. But I think they've flattered to deceive under Potter. And I said this because they've come the 2 decent opposition they come up against. They've failed to beat. They've drawn both games, and so it's just down to us. If we're energized, so if we've had a rest before that game and the first 11 have had a break as such, then I'll be quietly confident going into it. I won't air that view, but and I won't feel it. I probably won't even watch the game. 12 o'clock on a Sunday. I've got to be doing something at that time.
What I hope is that Arteta's pre-match team talk for Chelsea is that he plays the clip that was revealed where Aubameyang is basically criticising Arteta by saying, "Oh, he doesn't know how to handle big players." Play that to the squad and say, "See, he doesn't think you're big players."
It's kind of what he would do. So yeah, I like
show him
that.
what you can do. Chelsea do play on the Wednesday before against Zagreb.
Away?
No, it's at home.
Okay.
It's at home. But they're and their group, they are top of their group. They're on 7 points. Salzburg are on 6. And then Milan and Zagreb are both on 4. So even if Chelsea have nothing to play for, because they could win and say Salzburg lose, meaning that Chelsea will have qualified no matter what. But Zagreb could still have something to play for. For them to get in Europa League or whatever. So, yeah. I mean, fine. It is what it is. But like you say, the main thing for me.
So who are Chelsea playing next week then?
Well, I was looking at those as well, and all our rivals, traditional rivals, in that top 4 race, have all got games you would, or I would think, they'd win. If I can just find them again, sorry. On Man City are playing away at Leicester. That's the Saturday early kickoff next week.
Okay. Leicester now on a bit of good form at the moment.
Oh, Man City will win. Don't be fooled. Spurs are away at Bournemouth.
Bournemouth not playing well at the moment.
Bournemouth are playing well. Bournemouth have lost their first game under Gary O'Neill today against West Ham.
No, Southampton beat them during the week.
Did they?
Yeah, Southampton beat them 1-0. Yeah, so that's what I mean. They've lost their last 2.
Well, put it this way: they'll be peed off because the decisions today were awful.
So who's going to Bournemouth? Sorry,
Spurs.
Spurs, right? Okay.
Chelsea are away. Chelsea are away at Brighton.
Under Potter, well, maybe because Potter's now at Chelsea, that might
Will that fire up the players? It'll certainly fire up the crowd.
Yeah.
Will it fire up the players? The players were all Potter players, really.
Yeah, so they'll want to. Yeah, I'd imagine so.
But Brighton aren't on great form. They haven't really scored a lot of goals.
Mind you, they've just played Man City away, haven't they?
Yeah, but even before
two of their last 3 games, or first 3 games without Potter, have been away at Liverpool and away at City, where they've scored 4 goals.
Yeah, but it's the ones in between. They didn't do very well. Was it Palace and someone else?
Yeah, they were 1-0 up at Palace and then lost 2-1.
Yeah. Liverpool are at home to Leeds.
Oh, okay.
They'll win.
Yeah.
And then Man United play West Ham after us on the Sunday.
Where?
At Old Trafford.
See, West Ham are not playing well, are they?
And also Moyes just doesn't beat top 6 away from home. He just doesn't. So that's Man United 3 points all day long. So yeah. Next week, dropping points against Southampton, like you say, this week, you can't really excuse it, but you can contextualize it. Whereas next week at home against Forest, you're in the box. No,
has to be a win.
No,
and it's an opportunity to kind of get a bit of momentum back. That's not only just we have to win. It should be that anything other than 3 points and an impressive performance, I think, is important. Although
the performance, I think, less so, because I think the fact that Forest have just beaten Liverpool, will tell everyone that it's not going to be an easy game.
Yeah, which is quite useful for us.
That hopefully will motivate us.
But it's our only home game, isn't it? Before West Ham on Boxing Day.
Well, exactly. So there's all those things to play, but I think Thursday plays into that, because all the rhetoric from Arteta has been about topping the group. That's been vital. So unless we top the group, you know, it won't justify any points dropped in the Premier League if we don't top the group. You know, if they were sort of trading it off, saying, you know, we'll see how things lay in the Europa League to see how the league is going. Well, they couldn't have foreseen how good the league form would have gone. I don't think they'd have ever in their wildest dreams have thought we'd only have 1 defeat, 1 draw at this stage. So therefore, you can maybe shine a bit more of a light on the Europa League, and I think that's why it has been going a bit stronger. But now that we have qualified, it's a bit of a balancing act. So I don't know if we should have rotated more or not. I mean, this is the problem with being a manager, isn't it? It's why.
Well, Wenger says one of his biggest regrets was not playing in an FA Cup semi-final against Man United, not playing Henry and Bergkamp or Henry and Pires. I can't remember which 2 players it was, because he was thinking about the midweek game ahead. And it was an insipid performance. I was there. We lost 2-0 to United, and I'm not sure, but I think we lost the midweek game as well. And he regretted that. He names that as one of his biggest regrets in terms of, because it was an opportunity, and I don't know who was in the final, but we could have probably beaten that and kind of scored another FA Cup. But it's that debate, isn't it? Play the game in front of you, win that game, and then, because I hated the fact that we were resting Henry and Bergkamp. I thought, wow, this is Man United. Like, you know, you play your best team in the FA Cup semi-final against United, surely. Like, and so, because you can't, once you start looking ahead and you think, so yeah, I think that's why I don't think he'll play Marquinhos, Nketiah and Nelson across the front 3 with Vieira behind them. I'd love him to. I think that's something we should do, but because I'd love Saka and Martinelli and Jesus and Ødegaard with the complete week off.
So out of those 4, Jesus, Martinelli, Ødegaard, Saka, who would you play Thursday?
I would play none of them. He will play Martinelli. That's my...
Yeah, Martinelli came off, didn't he?
Yeah, so that's my feeling, is that he'll play Martinelli. And Nelson won't play. So I'm not sure he'll play more than that. I think Vieira will start. I think it's his level at the moment. Marquinhos, yeah. But Arteta's quite spiteful as well. You can imagine him playing Saka because of the questions he's been getting about overplaying him. You know, and
why? Here's a question: why, when Nketiah has come on in recent times and not replaced Jesus, and they've been on the pitch together, why hasn't Jesus gone out onto the wing?
I don't know. I thought that on Sunday. I thought that was odd. It would have made more sense.
He's played there for City.
Yeah,
because he likes playing there for Brazil.
Yeah, it's his like most familiar position, most comfortable position as such. I know he's loving it playing centre forward in the main man, but for 15 minutes, I think that would have been, because Nketiah is a little bit lost out there. Someone describes his performance when he came on as a League One Eddie, which is a little bit harsh, but again, you come on for 15, 20 minutes and it's not a huge amount you can do. So he will definitely start. No, it's and
and play into his hands on Thursday, because if we play like an away team and PSV, you know, try and come out, you know, he's a getting behind kind of striker.
Yeah, he'll have more space as well. Yeah.
So hopefully he can exploit that. Yeah.
So I think it'll be more of a solid base and a lighter and more second string attack, because we were so dominant in the first game. So I can't see. Yeah, I can't see that. I mean, PSV at home, if their fans are anything to go by, they'll be fired up for this. And the atmosphere will be quite hostile. Because they tore up a few seats, didn't they?
They absolutely did. Threw a few things, yeah.
Naughty.
Yeah.
And again, I'll get to see it this week because it's half term and I'm not tutoring. So yeah.
I'm a bloody wedding.
Well, you need to sort your mates out. That's
I
honest.
will. They're not football people at all.
So why are you friends? What do you mean? You've
it'll
got
be on
friends.
the phone. These are sort of teacher friends.
So yeah, obviously half term.
Yeah, exactly.
What time is your wedding at then?
Oh, in the afternoon. Oh, I should be good to sneak away.
Yeah, is the reception at a hotel where there might be a TV room?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, no, they won't notice your absence for a couple of hours.
I can blame the diabetes.
No, for sure. You've earned it. You've earned it.
I had to go for a walk. He had too much cake.
Yeah.
In fact, actually, if it's in the city, in Norwich, I could go find a pub. That'd be a read. But it'll be a nice wedding. It'll be fun.
And I can't let this evening pass without welcoming Unai Emery back to the Premier League.
Good evening.
Yeah. And that's an interesting one.
Villarreal and Aston Villa. He's done all the villas. Callum Chambers, someone messaged me earlier, that clip from The Office when David Brent is going on a blind date and the woman turns up at the pub and, you know, she's deliberately not a looker.
Yeah.
And David Brent's all excited and then he turns around and goes, oh. Like that. That's Callum Chambers. That's going to be, not in. I find it interesting, not because, look, Emery's a good manager. With the right team in the right circumstances, of course he is. He's won Europa Leagues. He's done this, that, and the other. What strikes me is Villa's scattergun approach. You know, 1 minute they're linked with Pochettino.
Well, Pochettino and Tuchel said no.
Well, he's linked with Pochettino, who is all about high backline, high press, high energy, fitness, and all that sort of thing. And then Emery, who is low block, pass out, try and beat the high press. Well, that's two completely like polar opposite philosophies to football. So they've just gone for whoever's available, and because Tuchel and Pochettino basically turned them down.
But it's interesting because Emery turned down Newcastle.
It is interesting, isn't it?
And so, from his perspective, you've turned down Newcastle, but you accept Villa. That tells me a bit about his. Like, there's less pressure at Villa than there is at Newcastle, because of the circumstances that Newcastle are in. So, I mean, Eddie Howe's done really well. I think Eddie Howe was a better appointment because they were going to have that. They were going to do this like not the kind of just 40 splash out, get the Galacticos in and the mercenaries in. Actually, going to build a team, and you can see that you can see that with the team they've got. That Eddie Howe's had a big say in that, but Villa's Villa's a big club.
Villa's a big club, but at the same time, there's still I mean this in the positive way. There's an underdog mindset about them, and I've always said about Emery the problem is, and this is why he did okay at PSG, and there were flashes at Arsenal. But ultimately, his biggest success have come at places like Sevilla and Villarreal, teams who he makes greater than the sum of their parts, and that's where he'll thrive. So there's every chance he could do that at Villa, except actually they have spent. There is some money there.
There are some players there as well.
There's
a decent team there.
Yeah, whether they fully buy into that, because I feel like Villa's, look at them against Brentford at the weekend. Villa are better on the front foot. There's no doubt about that. Villa are better on the front foot. Is that Emery's starting point? No, not at all. So it'll be interesting to see how he goes.
Yeah, well, I'm a little bit annoyed we've not played Villa at Villa Park yet. Would have liked that one out of the way.
Well, I've still never been, so I need to go to Villa Park.
Oh God, it's one of the it's because of the FA Cup neutral ground thing. Villa Park's one of my most. I mean, I was there famously for the Santa Claus parachute half time debacle, where we were 2-0 up, and then there was a 45-minute delay, and we lost 3-2. Obviously, Santa Claus lived and survived, and ended up marrying one of the nurses who cared for him. But at the time, we were convinced he was dead because he fell from a good 100-foot splat. It was utterly grim to witness pre-Christmas. So yeah, and Villa Park is the ground on which I scored against. I conceded a goal against Wolfie, the Wolves mascot, in the pre-Arsenal Wolves FA Cup semi-final entertainment, and I use the word entertainment loosely.
I mean, it's a proper historical ground.
Yeah, no, it's great.
And I've only never been there because of, when I started getting away tickets, they got relegated. And then it's been one thing. It's like Wolves in a couple of weeks. I know it's late on a Saturday, but we've always played them bloody midweek. And so I've never been to Molineux.
So are you going?
Yeah.
Right, so wrap up warm. It's the coldest ground I've been to. No, it was -degrees at the time, and I was wearing Converse.
And this Thursday is supposed to be, my wife told me this earlier, this Thursday, touching 20 degrees. It's like, it's the end of October.
An Indian summer.
This world is broken. It's not an Indian summer because it's not got that cool. I just don't think it's got that cold ever. We've broken the world.
Yeah. All right. Where are you? 51.
51.
Yeah.
One of them, isn't it?
Yeah.
The fact that we're disappointed with a draw is a good thing.
I have to keep reminding myself we are still top, and that
we're still top of the league.
City
no one
drew at
expected
Villa
us to be at this point, at this stage. It's so healthy, but we've just been spoiled. We drew.
Yeah, why couldn't we have won every game?
No one wins every game.
No.
Think about someone put online about how the Invincibles drew at places like Charlton.
Yeah, well, the Invincibles drew 16 games or something like that.
I think something like that. Yeah,
12 games maybe.
Yeah,
but a much lower points haul required then.
Yeah, but for top four, let's face it, start of the season, it was just about top four.
Oh, completely. I mean, what are we, 8 points gap? 8-point gap to fifth? Is that what we are, or is it more than that?
That's it.
So
enjoy the ride.
Yeah. As long as the wheels don't come off before the World Cup. Be nice to go into the World Cup still top.
That would be lovely. But I made it to my birthday with us top, so I'm delighted already.
No,
this season
we can't settle for that.
World Cup would be nice. I don't think it will.
It's all about my birthday now, though, and that's in May. So we're going to be
3 games.
My birthday.
Forest, a tricky game against Forest, albeit.
No, it's not a tricky game. We're playing at home to the bottom club. It's not a tricky. It's not. I don't give a monkeys. It is not a tricky game at home to Forest. Away. We may well make it a tricky game, but it's not a tricky game. Wolves away. If as I said to this last week, if it was Man City going to Wolves away, we wouldn't even be thinking that Man City would drop points. So we shouldn't be dropping points there. Chelsea away is the one where we will be the underdog. At Chelsea home should be favourites, and I think that's okay. My Man United mate. I said to him before they played Chelsea. I said, look, they're not all that, and I think it will be tight, but I think you've got enough after your Spurs performance to win the game. And that nearly played out. I mean, the way the goals fell, United got away with the draw, but I was pleased because I wanted a draw. I wanted both teams dropping points. So I think it's similar with the Arsenal-Chelsea game, 50-50. It'll be tight. Could go either way. Again, so long as it's not a referee howler. I'm assuming it's on the telly at 12 o'clock on a Sunday, the Chelsea game.
Yeah, I think so. Arsenal-Chelsea is always on the telly.
Yes.
How do you feel about facing Diego Costa again?
Is he playing for them? Is he getting game time? Yeah, is he getting game time?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'd rather not, if I'm honest. Or get Gabriel Paulista back, and he could look after him.
He does like playing against the Gabriel, doesn't he? And we've got 3 of them.
Yeah, take your pick. Take your pick.
Oh well.
He hasn't scored for them yet, has he?
Oh God, no. Yeah, he looks, in the nicest possible way, as out of shape as a professional footballer can.
I've not. I must admit, I've not watched.
Well, he was unattached, so he had no club, free agent. So he just, clearly not as sharp as he could be. But
he will be by the time we play them.
Oh, you just know it, don't you? There's too much narrative everywhere. Forest turning a corner, beating Liverpool.
No,
and then we've got
I don't care what you say. Forest at home is not a tricky game.
All right.
If it was Man City, you'd be thinking double figures.
Yeah, but we're not Man City, are we?
No, we're above Man City.
You've already developed that mindset of
No, I didn't say. I quite happily acknowledge that I'm not saying we won't make it difficult, but it is not a difficult game.
It shouldn't be.
No, it shouldn't. And to be fair, the first 25 minutes against Southampton, I was very calm, apart from the fact we hadn't scored more than one, because I thought this is what we should be doing if we're serious about challenging at the top. We should go to Southampton, blitz them for 20 minutes. It's what the Invincibles did, what the successful Wenger teams did. Blitz teams away from home, 20 minutes, go 2-0 up, close up shop. That was it. That's what, and we were so close to achieving that. We got away with it against Leeds. And so if you look at the 2 performances, Leeds away and Southampton away, the fact we got 4 points from those 2 games is probably, fair.
Oh, considering the performances.
Yes, that's what I mean. Yeah, okay. not on paper. You'd want to win those games, but when you look at the actual performances, I think 4 points from those games. You can't grumble about that too much. So anyway, right, let's knock it on the head. So my slightly tongue-in-cheek ticker line. Oh no, it's all over. It's not really. We're still top. I think that's the note we should leave it on. So we are top of the league. See you on Thursday. No, I won't, because you'll be
it'll have to be a Friday.
Yeah, it'll be Friday. Where we will still be top of a league. Well, we'll still be top of 2 leagues. In fact, someone tweeted, we're Arsenal top of 4 leagues.
Yes.
We're top of the Premier League, Europa League, the WSL, and the Champions League.
Good
the
going.
Women's Champions League. So that's, it's a good time to be an Arsenal fan. We'd have all settled for that at the start of August.
Absolutely.
Anyway, right, nice one. Under the hour, get in. So we are top of the league. See you in a few days' time.
See you in a few days.
Right.